What is going on, everyone? It's Nick from Breaking the Clutch. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And from your guys' request in the video that we had, I think it was a week ago, where we asked for community feedback, I think it was like 50 or 60 upvotes for a leader breakdown for every leader: strengths, weaknesses, specific units, what kind of strategy should we use with them. Just a bunch of great ideas from you guys. So we decided we're going to go ahead and do a leader breakdown series. Now, to keep things fresh, I will be doing half of the leaders and Pat will be doing the other half. So we've got two different perspectives here. And again, please feel free to leave as many comments as you guys want. We are always looking for feedback. And let us know of your opinion with Shipmaster and other leaders. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, Shipmaster is a polarizing character, at least for me. When the game first came out, I might have suggested that Shipmaster was the worst leader in the Banished, and then I might have had to admit that I was wrong, and then I might have had to say that he was the best leader in the Banished. So, yeah, I've had a little bit of a trip with Shipmaster, and as of right now, on what's today, like the 17th? No, 18th, 19th, 20th, something, I don't know what today is. But look, Shipmaster is still such a viable leader. I think he's still my favorite leader in the game. I'm not going to go ahead and try to rank these leaders because they change based on every patch, so there's no point in doing that. I'm going to try to keep it as relative to the leader as I possibly can. So let's just jump right into the information that I have chosen to break down for you guys. First, we're going to go ahead and start off with leader points that are unique to Shipmaster. I'm going to go ahead and skip Scout Mine, Beam, stuff like that, because it's across the board with the banished leaders. A lot of these leaders have it, and it's repetitive. I'm not going to cover that. Let's look at specifically what Shipmaster has to offer. Now, normal cap speed for an infantry unit as Shipmaster or as any banished leader is about 20 seconds. Now, with Banished Raid 1, we can take that and upgrade it. It's one of our tier 1 options. One of the first things you can do with your leader point, and it increases the speed at which you can cap a power node with our infantry units, and it also increases our sight of range, which isn't too much of a big deal, and I'm not going to go ahead and focus on that. One thing that I want to focus on is the difference between not having Banish Raid 1 and having Banish Raid 1. So it's about 13 seconds to cap a power node with Banish Raid 1 intact, which is a significant play if you guys are interested in perhaps instead of rushing, maybe going for those power nodes early. Then you have this option to utilize Banish Raid 1. It's about 13 seconds, 7-second difference there. All right, Banish Raid 2 allows for Ghosts to capture points and increases vehicle line of sight. Now with the Ghost, it actually takes about 10 seconds to capture a power node instead of the 13 with an infantry unit. And I find this incredibly interesting because it's not something that I ever took into account before going into this video series. Now, Banish Raid 3 is going to increase the speed of our vehicles. So let's test our normal speed for a Ghost. And I just chose 2 points on the map. I chose from 2 vacant mini bases just to keep it as fair and as reasonable as I possibly could. So obviously this changes based on the distance that you go, but from this point to this point right here, our Ghost takes about 11 seconds to get from point A to point B. Yeah, so Banish Raid 3, I just don't know if you're going to get to the point in the game where you want to utilize Banish Raid 3, but in case you were interested, this is the speed at which a normal unit moves, and here for a Marauder, we've got 15 seconds from point A to point B. Again, I don't know at what point you would use Banish Raid 3. I feel like there's so many better options to utilize than Banish Raid 3, but everyone plays the game a bit different, so I'm not going to discount those who do utilize Banish Raid 3. So for those people out there, this information is specifically for you. Now, we've got our Ghost coming up next, and we're going to see what the upgrade of Banish Raid 3, how quickly does our Ghost move from point A to point B. And of course, Ghosts, Wraiths, Choppers, and Marauders are all affected by this, but I just decided to show off 2 units just because I don't think too many people are going to go ahead and use Banish Raid 3. But we do have a significant increase right here. Our Marauder speed has, well, I guess it's decreased to 11 seconds from 15 seconds, but it's increased its speed. So it's kind of significant. Same thing with our Ghosts. We went from, I believe, 11 seconds to now 8 seconds. These Ghosts are moving very quickly around the map. Again, in case anyone was wondering or who utilizes Banish Raid 3, you now have that information. Moving forward, we're going to focus on Teleport. It's our another tier 1 leader power that we can use, and I prefer this one over Banish Raid, but again, to each their own. Teleports own units within a set range, does not require line of sight, and that's actually absolutely key if you're going to use Shipmaster, to make sure you're teleporting your units. And let's go ahead and check the distance on that. It takes about half the map. just under half the map or just a little over half the map for teleporting units, and this is really great for rushing strategies if you're going to do a brute rush or a locust rush. Now let's go ahead and check what our teleport 2 does. It first increases the range of teleport, and it also increases the units that we can teleport. And you'll see it brings it right up to the base. It's a pretty amazing ability, and I do recommend this one over Banish Raid, but again, I'm not going to go ahead and disqualify the viability of Banish Raid 1. Now, let's focus on Extraction. This teleports own units to main base, and it heals upon arrival. Key thing here is, if you have air units and ground units, it teleports a lot more units. It teleports up. It doesn't teleport based on a set number of units, but it teleports based on the cylinder shape that it gives off. So you can teleport a bunch of air units and a bunch of ground units if you have Extraction 1. Now, I wouldn't recommend upgrading to Extraction 2 just based on what I just told you right there. Extraction 2 will increase the number of units that can be teleported, but you really don't need to teleport too many units if you have air and ground. Now, if you're focused mainly on the ground game, then of course maybe you want to upgrade to Extraction 2 because it takes in more ground units. But if you've got a wide variety of units, it pretty much takes everything. So, again, I would recommend Extraction 1 only, but, there's always that scenario where you may need to extract all your units. And also, it does heal your base upon arrival, which is great. There are certain scenarios where maybe your base is being attacked, and you can go ahead and just extract units and heal up. Now, moving forward, let's look at Advanced Cloaking 1. It reduces the cost of cloaking generators and shroud production, and Marauders also gain the ability to cloak. Now, shroud cost is reduced from 550 to 401, which is significant, and it makes them a little more viable. And our cloaking ability for the Marauder lasts about 15 seconds utilizing Advanced Cloaking 1. I don't know how viable Marauders are at the moment. I do like to include them every once in a while with certain units just because they slow down the speed of enemy units. But if we go ahead and upgrade to Advanced Cloaking 2, which increases duration of all cloaking abilities and increases the size of Shroud's cloaking field, we'll notice that the Marauders themselves actually take a significant increase in time spent cloaking. They actually last for 30 seconds, which is double the time of Advanced Cloaking 1. Now, I don't know a specific scenario where Advanced Cloaking 2 really comes into play, but I mean, again, this option is available for those of you who like to play that super stealthy game. With, again, Advanced Cloaking, just in general, cloaking in the game, so many units can simply spot cloaked units, so I don't know how necessary it is, but I will give it the chance because certain players just ignore making those spotter units. And let's go ahead and take a look at the Shroud. It lasts for about 18 seconds normally, and when it's fully upgraded with Advanced Cloaking 2, you'll see that it lasts for 36 seconds. Again, and it adds a bit of depth to the amount of units that you can cloak with Shroud. You'll see right here, it's got a pretty small cylinder, but if we go ahead and upgrade to Advanced Cloaking 2, you'll see it covers pretty much all my units in this field, which it's great. I do struggle with cloaking, again, because there's so many opportunities where you can simply just pop out a Reaver or Engineer or Snipers that just spot these invisible units. So, again, I don't know how viable it is, but that option is there in case you do come across a player who is not paying enough attention. For instance, if you see them with a bunch of Marines and it looks like their unit population might be capped, then maybe you sneak in a Shroud there and you have the ability to cloak your units, and they won't actually be able to spot them. It's a sneaky play. I do advise utilizing it in certain scenarios. Definitely wouldn't disqualify it. Now, Displacement teleports enemy units, and it does not require a line of sight. Yeah, it's pretty great. As you saw right there, I took an entire person's army, and I just said, screw it, y'all are going away. I'm going to go ahead and attack the base. So, Displacement is an absolute awesome ability. I love it. Let's move on to Mass Cloaking. It cloaks all of your deployed units, and wall cloaked units gain a speed boost and a small siphon effect. Yeah, I don't know. Again, with cloaking, I don't really care for it too much. In certain scenarios, it's absolutely amazing, but just in general, it's something that I just really don't click on unless that certain scenario presents itself where they don't have a spotter unit. And also, it lasts for about 30 seconds. The very last leader point that we're going to focus on is Tactical Gateway, and you can place 2 connected teleportation nodes at any point in the map. As you'll see right here, I'm pretty much putting them as far as they possibly can go. This does require vision in order to place it, but you can teleport scarabs, you can teleport any units you absolutely want. I don't find it too necessary, but it is an awesome play if you get to that late part of the game. Next, we're going to go ahead and switch our focus to unique units that apply only to Shipmaster, and that's pretty much the Ghost, and that's also the Hero unit, which is a melee hero. We're going to go ahead and showcase the Hero first, and you'll notice this is a fully upgraded Shipmaster hero. He takes about 3 slashes to kill a grunt. I don't know too many scenarios where you actually want to produce this hero unit. Maybe in an extreme late game, maybe if you're super turtling. Yeah, if you've got extra resources, I guess you can make it. It's not too great. Maybe if it had some sort of invisibility cloak with it, it would present itself a little bit better. But other than that, I really don't see a use for it. You'll also see that I'll be attacking a Wraith here in a second with it, and it actually deals decent damage to the Wraith, but if the Wraith focus fires, I mean, if you throw them in a group, it's like the Arbiter in the original game. If you come up against a bunch of Gauss Hogs, it's going to get rinsed. Same thing here. You have even less control over it just because it just wants to wander at any point. Like anything it sees, it just turns around and just sprints to it. But yeah, it deals decent damage. Something I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but the option is there in case you guys have a ton of resources, as you know, just a shits and giggles type of thing. But really, there's no strategy that I would implement with this hero unit. Next thing we're going to focus on is the Ghost. Now let's take a look at the Ghost versus the Chopper with no ramming, and both of them are unupgraded. You'll notice since the last patch, Choppers are the Choppers are the best unit in the game, at least for scouting. All right, and Ghosts really don't match up well against it. As you'll see right there, the Chopper had like half shields, and the Ghost had half shields. So had no shields. It was dead. Sorry. We're going to go ahead and now test the 5v5 just to make sure that our assessment was correct the first time. And you'll see, even with some focus firing here, the Choppers absolutely rinse the Ghost, and there's really not a competition here. So if I'm playing Shipmaster, I'm not using Ghost as a rushing tool against the Banish just because Choppers will rinse it very quickly. I'm using it more to pick up power nodes, to pick up resources, pick up extra bases, stuff like that. I'm really not utilizing it to try to fight off a chopper rush. Maybe if I put them behind my base with turrets, that's the only scenario. But yeah, I just would not recommend going up against a chopper with a Ghost. Now let's go ahead and look at the upgraded choppers versus the upgraded Ghost. This is again a 5v5 scenario. We're not going to go ahead and use the ram ability here, just to show, you know, as fair as it can possibly be. And of course, this doesn't include any microing. This is just simple focus fire. Again, if the choppers can beat the Ghosts in a one-on-one scenario, then no matter the micro, if you have two people who can micro very well and focus fire at the same time, you should still get the same result. Maybe if you're a Ghost player or a Ghost rusher and you come across someone who's weaker and doesn't micro or focus fire as well, you can maybe sneak a victory with the Ghost. But again, in a scenario where you've got two equal players, yeah, your Ghosts are pretty much gone. Again, I'm really not going to recommend the Ghosts to be rushers. Just simply utilize them to scatter across the map to get resources. If you're going up against someone who's using the Marine play, it might be a viable option if you keep them at a distance so that way they can't drop their nades. Yeah, maybe that's a potential, but against choppers, against scout versus scout unit, it's really not looking good for them. Now let's go ahead and look at the ram ability. We're going to go ahead and ram with our leaders, or with our scout units this time, and holy smokes, it's an absolute mess. The Ghosts get rinsed, the choppers, 3 of them stay alive. We'll go ahead and say 2 stay alive because 2 of them are full shields. Alright, we're moving on to the other scout unit. The one that was the chosen one, the Jackrabbits, the Ghost versus Jackrabbits. Let's see how they fight once one-on-one. We obviously had to upgrade that Jackrabbit once because otherwise it wouldn't be able to shoot, but this seems to be a fair fight, and the Jackrabbits are, oh man, they were so glorious once, and now they can't even beat a simple Ghost. Yeah, they get rinsed. About half shields is what that Ghost will turn out to be, and the Jackrabbit gets absolutely obliterated. Just to make sure that we are on the right track with our assessment, we'll go ahead and do a 5v5 scenario. Again, we're not going to ram with the Ghost. although it is an ability, and I will showcase that in just a few moments. I want to see, how do they fare up against each other, or come up against each other in a one-on-one scenario with kind of equal odds. All right, and again, Jackrabbits are, oh man, they are bad. They're not viable, at least in this current meta. So if you end up coming up against someone who's like trying to spam Jackrabbits for whatever reason in this part of the meta, you can simply make ghosts if you're Shipmaster, and you will absolutely obliterate them, zero problem. So I guess that's kind of a good thing. You've got choppers at the very top, you've got ghosts in the middle, and then you've got the Jackrabbits at the very bottom. If in your like rock paper scissors scenario, so we've got a 5v5 upgraded. Yeah, and it's pretty much the same here. The only upgrade that Jackrabbits really do is the heal upgrade, and if you're focus firing, there should be no reason whatsoever that these Jackrabbits get to heal themselves, especially it takes like 9 seconds or something like that. So you'll notice that it's not even a competition. You're noticing a theme here. Now let's go ahead and utilize the Ram ability. Oh boy. Again, you can pretty much keep 4 ghosts alive if you use the Ram ability. So again, if you do run up against someone who's using Jackrabbits, go ahead and punish them with the ghost. It's a viable option. Obviously, choppers would even do better, but if you're Shipmaster, this is what you got, and this is what you can destroy Jackrabbits with. Now we're going to go ahead and switch our focus to some of the strategies that I think complement Shipmaster particularly well. The very first one, of course, is the Brute Rush, which is still a very viable rush. The only thing that you have to be very careful of is to make sure you scout the player before you actually send all your units. Because if they get a good scout on you, they can counter this by going Suicide Grunts. They can also counter this by just going a bunch of choppers and ramming your Brutes. But if you get the good scout off and you make sure that all their units, or at least the units that can stop your Brutes, are away from the enemy base, you can rinse an enemy base extremely quickly. So I do recommend this strategy in certain scenarios, but again, I wouldn't dedicate it to every game. This is not something that'll work every time, especially if you come up against a good player who has scouted you out. They can stop you again very easily if they have enough time to do so, if they scout well in advance. The very last strategy that I'm going to talk about with Shipmaster is the ability to utilize teleportation and locust. Also mix in a little bit of extraction here and there. That way it's kind of like a hit and run the way you want to use the locust rush with Shipmaster. You'll notice that I'm able to teleport with teleport 2 all the way across the map into the enemy base, and then I can easily just, and again, if you give this a quick scout right before you push it, you can see if their units are there. If they're not, there's pretty much nothing they will be able to do to stop it. You'll notice that my opponent freezes my units. He doesn't have his units there because I pre-scouted it, and I'm able to just simply rinse the base. Not a lot you can do here with the Locust Rush. It's such a great play still, and I highly recommend it. Again, right here with the extraction, you can see I saw the glassing beam come down, and I simply extracted all my units, making sure they were safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is pretty much it with the breakdown of Shipmaster. I hope you guys did enjoy, and please leave your feedback down below. This type of series is going to take a lot of hard work and dedication from us, so if you don't mind, just leave us some feedback. I'm not asking for likes or dislikes in particular. I'm just suggesting leave comments. If you did like the video, sure, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it, and then give me your comment down below. Just for the first video in the series, want to make sure that we are on the same page, because a lot of you guys did refer us and ask for this type of video. So want to make sure that we are doing it absolutely right before we release the next leader breakdown in this series. Also, shout out to the guys at the Discord. Discord link is down below. It's anyone can join it. We've got a fantastic community growing over there. If you're looking for players, if you're looking for general chat, if you're looking for strategies, just, all the stuff's there. Again, link is in the description. Also, last but not least, shout out to Gabe. Thank you so much for helping me make this video. And again, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave your feedback, and we will see you guys next time with Captain Cutter.